Okay, who have we not had to read as yet? Just looking. So for this part, we are going to now move on from paraphrasing. We're going to identify and analyze, if I can say it correctly, analyze literary devices. First of all, we need to think about what are literary devices, also known as figurative language. In this section, we're going to think what device is being used in the extract and what effect does it create. So this kind of ties into author's purpose. What's the author trying to get us to envisage in our mind? What are they trying to paint a picture of? We're also thinking, what tone do the words create? What impact is the writer trying to create on the reader? What are they wanting us to feel? And remember, you're the reader. So how do you feel? What do you see in your mind's eye? How do the words relate to the action in the narrative as well, perhaps? Oh, we've had some suggestions of what literary devices you know of: metaphors, personification, alliteration, similes, onomatopoeia. Fantastic, thank you very much. I've got a list coming up, and when we're answering these kind of questions, we need to use the peel technique, also known as P's. P point, you make your point, then you add evidence from the text, a quotation from the text, and then this is where your analysis really gets going. You need to fully explain how your evidence proves your point, and then you can zoom in. The best piece of advice that I ever give any of my students for this kind of question: talk a lot about a little. Okay, so let's have a look at some literary devices. If you can't hear anything, I would suggest, I'm just going to, if somebody can't hear, try leaving and rejoining. I'm just replying to somebody who can't hear there. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some literary devices, also known as figurative language. Let's see if we can come up with a definition of these literary devices, please. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to come up with your own definitions, and we'll go through what each of them is. 5 minutes. Okay, some suggestions there. Thank you. So, could we ensure that we're all on mute, please? Simile. You are comparing two things using like or as. Sibilance. That is the repetition of the S sound. So, for example, the slippery snake.
Ma'am, could you repeat what sibilance is?
It's the repetition of the S sound. So a slippery snake in the storm. Metaphor, saying something that is something else. So the trees were giants. Rule of three, also known as tricolon, a list of three things. Add emphasis to your writing. Personification, giving an inanimate object human or lifelike qualities. Pathetic fallacy, that is when the mood, the tone of character, something that's happening in the story is reflected by something in nature, more typically the weather. So, for example, if we've got a very angry person, sometimes you've got that reflected in the fact that there might be a storm. Oxymoron, basically the sweet a bittersweet smell of success, something that's completely opposite. Onomatopoeia, bang, crash, wallop. The word sounds like it does. An alliteration, repetition of the initial sound at the beginning of words. Okay, so let's have a look at an example. We're not going to do this one. I'm just going to show you an example. So could I have to read, please, Mogatha?
Richard's books smell odd. They weren't new with shiny coloured jackets, but musty and faded, and they all had Uncle David's name in the front. That smell had taken Robert right back into his early childhood, to a place in London, a tall, thin house in a terrace near the River Thames. He could remember a gloomy front door with the paint peeling and dark corridors inside where older men and women came and went silently like ghosts.
Okay, so we're looking at which literary device has been used here for 1 mark, and then what effect does it create? So I'm going to show you an example answer that would achieve the full 3 marks for this. So let's have a look. We've separated it into point, evidence, and explanation. The writer uses a simile to show that Robert has upsetting or unsettling memories of his childhood. The text states old men and women came and went silently like ghosts. This quotation suggests that Robert's childhood was gloomy and depressing. It tells us that he did not interact with the people who lived in the house. The word ghosts describes the men and women as being distant and hazy, showing us that Robert didn't understand or become familiar or friendly with any of them.